board meeting called to order. We do a roll call, please.
Mrs. Scott.
Here.
Ms. Duroff.
Present.
Mr. Hemingway.
Here.
Mrs. Hogan.
Present.
Ms. Nyman.
Here.
Mr. Panarello.
Here.
Mr. Updegrove.
Here.
Mr. Zawada.
Here.
Mr. Brophy.
Here.
All present.
Let's do Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we did have an executive meeting previous to this meeting, 34 minutes, executive session, discussion with the solicitor over construction issues that may require litigation. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Torsia for a couple minutes here.
Thank you, Mr. Brophy. Tonight, the Boyertown Area School District would like to recognize the students who have satisfied their high school graduation requirements over the summer. We are happy to award their diplomas to the following students. And these students may have come into the high school to receive their diplomas. I do not believe that we have anyone in our audience this evening, but we did nonetheless want to recognize them publicly for their accomplishment. First, we have Carissa Blankenbiller, Graham Johnston, Malachi Jeter, Caden Kircher, Tyler Phillips, Guy Rudy, Abigail Schminke, and Robert Terra. So congratulations to these students, and good luck to you as you move forward in your futures. So that completes that recognition, Mr. Brophy.
Public comment period number 1. There's no one signed up for that, I understand. Okay, so let's move on to approval of meeting minutes. Can I have the motion?
I'll approve.
You're up second.
Roger, up to go first and you're off second. Okay, could we have the vote on that?
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Duroff.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan.
Yes.
Ms. Nyman.
Yes.
Mr. Panarello.
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove.
Yes.
Mr. Zawada.
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is that? And the next one. We have approval of the August 9th meeting also, correct?
That's a new motion.
That's a new motion. That's a second motion. Okay, motion for approval of August 9th meeting minutes.
Hogan motions.
Zawada second.
Hogan motions, Zawada seconds. Roll call vote?
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Duroff.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan.
Yes.
Ms. Nyman.
Yes.
Mr. Panarello.
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove.
Yes.
Mr. Zawada.
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the student representative report. I think we'll give them a few more days back in school first before you look for that.
Olivia and Lexi will report to the Board of School Directors at the September 27th meeting. Thank you.
Let's let them get a little bit back into what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay, next is discussion information on 22-23 capital projects discussion.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to go over our capital projects. These include both our roofing needs and our other projects throughout the district. Sorry. So
I have a PowerPoint. So as an overview, total, we're looking at about $994,818 that covers the district. For district-wide expenses, there's about $135,000. For Boyertown High School, we're looking at $140,000. Middle School East, $15,000. Washington Elementary, $67,000. At Boyertown Elementary, $44,818. Coburnville Elementary, $40,000. Earl Elementary is $133,000. Gilbertsville Elementary is $245,000. And New Hanover Upper Frederick Elementary is $175,000. So to line item some of these out, for district-wide, we're looking at our building management system. We're looking to continue to upgrade and standardize that. At the completion of this project, we should be able to monitor our buildings completely off campus. It's going to include our walk-in freezers, our walk-in coolers, as well as our domestic water, that if we have a pipe burst, that we'll know it and it will let our phones know. We have a hierarchy in the phones so that the first responders will know, and then there's backups to them. That's $100,000. Cafeteria table replacement, we have multiple tables in our district that are failing. We've repaired them and we're looking to replace them. So this is a multi-year project, and for this year, we're looking to get 20 tables at $35,000. Boyertown High School, we're looking to upgrade the JACEs. The ones that are there are outdated and no longer able to support the software. So that's 2 JACEs we can do a year. That's a 3-year project. We have some sidewalk repair at the high school where we're going to rip out and replace a couple squares on the sidewalk. Bears Stadium bleachers are currently wooden and the wood is rotting. This is to replace it with aluminum that will last forever and continue to upgrade that stadium. We have chiller repairs there on our YMC squared chillers, which are the magnetic bearing chillers. They lose some coils in the rectifier. That's $60,000 for that. At Boyertown Middle School East, we have a cooler freezer foundation issue. The box that's outside the building and the foundation cracked. So we're going to pump grout it back to level and then repair the flooring and the tiles that were cracked. Washington Elementary School, we have multiple parking lot cracks out towards Niantic Road that we're looking to fill and rehab that. We have an AHU we need to replace. They currently are not working. It's running on a single unit that is chilling. It's working, but it's struggling. It's not keeping up with the temperatures. We're looking to continue our carpet removal at that building. That is also a multi-year project. And we're looking to replace the aluminum window panels that sit above the classroom windows that are leaking and rusting. We also, at Boyertown Elementary, we have some curb repair where the curb sank. We're going to pump grout that and get that level again and then pin it with rebar. And on the roof plan, we're looking to repair some of the bare spots that are up there. Since the warranty has expired, we're just trying to keep that roof solid and tight. We did IR scan it and it was dry for now. At Coburnville Elementary School, we're looking to do some curb and sidewalk repair. There's some damaged concrete where you exit the building. We're also looking to do some soffit repair in the back of the building. There's a hole in the soffit. We're looking to potentially replace or repair the kitchen windows. We're going to do what we can in-house, and then if that does not solve the problem, we're going to look outside. And the faculty room at HVAC was a standalone system that no longer is working, and we're looking to replace that with a VRF system similar to what it is throughout the district. At Earl Elementary, the PA clock system, it loses time and is no longer functioning as it should, and it is impossible to get any parts for that. The sewer treatment upgrade is for our sand beds. This is a pushover from last year, and we have yet to find a contractor who can come out and actually do the work. So we're going to continue to reach out and try to find someone who will do that. Also, we're going to do carpet replacement at Earl and continue with that as well. That's a multi-year project. And the VRF repair, we had a rooftop unit that the fan bracket broke and it took out the coil, and it is no longer being made, so we have to replace it. And we can't get parts. At Gilbertsville Elementary, we have soffit repair on the outside of the building. It's some of the wood framing is starting to rot away, so we have to remove that and replace that. The loading dock, the cement is crumbling, and we're looking to replace that. The garage door we repaired multiple times, and it can no longer adjust it, so that needs to be replaced. Sidewalk at the main entrance, we repaired it, but it needs to be replaced. And the roof warranty has expired. It expires April of this year. When we IR scanned it, there was a lot of wet underneath the actual membrane. So the cost of this is to cut that wet out and reseal the roof with a coating in the future years to completely redo the roof. At New Hanover Upper Frederick, we have our water tank replacement. This was another one from last year that needs to be done. The water tanks don't meet 4 log, and they were put in the early 90s and are in bad shape. The roof drain, we need to replace that. Well, we're tying 2 roof drains together and taking them out the front of the building to the detention pond. The parking lot cracks at New Hanover are significant that we can't do in-house. And there's a soffit repair in the front of the building there. So for future projects, these are out for five years. We have to replace our fire panel dialers. Those are what notify us to the monitoring company if our burglar alarms or our fire alarms go out. The current system we have is a hardwired system. Those are no longer supported or used. So we're going to have, as they go bad, we're going to have to replace those with cellular dialers. The parking lot lights here at the Ed Center are still sodium high pressure bulbs. They need to be replaced with LED for energy savings. And also the continued cafeteria table replacement. At the high school, we're going to continue to do the JACE upgrades like I mentioned earlier. The courtyard by the library needs to be a swale put in because the water rushes down there. That's something we're going to look to do in the future because it's not causing any issues at the moment. The track and tennis courts at some point are going to have to be resurfaced in the next three years. Right now I had a representative come out. He said they're okay for now, but he recommends in the next 3 or so years getting those done. Parking lot cracks at the high school, we're going to eventually look to repair those once they get past what we can do. At the high school, all the bulbs are still fluorescents. They were not changed in the renovation, so we're going to look to do those and change those over to LED for energy savings. We're going to continue to look at Bear Stadium and the upper platforms as we go forward. The proposal in the capital projects was for the landing, not up into the higher levels. The roof warranty there expires in 2044. I just want to make sure that we point out those dates when we're running out of our roof warranties. Middle School West, the roof is also 2044. Middle School East, we're looking to replace the grounds truck that's there. It's a 94. We were talking about maybe possibly leasing a truck instead of purchasing one. We had it inspected, everything went fine, but it's a 94, so I want to keep it on the list. Eventually, we'd like to hook east to the sewer system there coming out of the development. So that's a future project. We have to look at replacing the chillers there as well. They're close to the end of life. So that's a decision at some point where we're going to have to decide if we're going to replace them or how we want to go forward with that. The curbing at Middle School East has also dropped, not significantly, but slightly enough to cause tripping hazards that we have to look at that in the future. We might have to pump grout that. And their roof warranty expires in 2026. At Washington Elementary, their fire panel is the same as what was at Gilbertsville, which failed on us and we couldn't get parts. So it still works at the moment. We put a UPS on it, so in the future that's something we have to budget for. The library rooftop unit is also reaching end of life, so that's one we have to budget for. Stage curtains, their stage curtains are quite old and can either be rehabbed or replaced. The PA clock system there is also of the same age as Gilbertsville, which was replaced. continued the carpet removal, continued window panel replacement, and the roof warranty expires in 2034 and 2029 at Washington. At Boyertown Elementary, the generator is slightly undersized for an all-electric building, so it's something we have to look at if we're going to continue to keep that building all-electric. We have parking lot repair at Boyertown now in the playground side, so it's not a pressing issue, but it's something we're going to have to fix. The coil wall is eventually going to have the track replaced. We're looking at an overall building assessment for the energy savings of that building, which would include the building envelope and what everything is contained inside. And that roof warranty has expired, and replacement of that roof today would be $3,792,600. Coburnville Elementary, the continued kitchen windows, stage curtains as well, they're older. And the roof warranty, and that has expired due to the company going out of business, and that would be a $900,000 replacement. Earl Elementary School, the sewer pipe replacement from the trap at the building down to our sewer plant, that pipe is, we cambered it and it's in rough shape, so it's something that if it fails, we'd have to replace. We want to continue with the carpet replacement with VCT tile. And the rooftop replace in the nurses area that has reached the end of its life. Gilbertsville Elementary, continue soffit repair and continue the roof warranty, which the total of that, if we get it recoded, is $1,778,600. New Hanover Upper Frederick, the stage curtains are getting older as well. And the roof warranty expires in 2034. And that would be a cost of $1,233,100. So next to 0 on there. So that's the capital projects for the next 5 years.
So the capital projects for 2022-23 will be placed on the next board agenda for approval. But tonight we wanted to give you an overview of not just what's needed now, but what's needed over the next 5-6 years that we're keeping an eye on and we'll keep the board abreast of.
Any questions? Ms. Hogan?
Thank you, Mr. Brophy. So yeah, I have a few questions. What is a JACE? Is that like a tech thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's what communicates between the controllers, which control the units, and our front end, which is where we control it.
Okay.
So it deciphers the language and sends it to us. Those were put in 2015. They're older technology, and with all the upgrades that happened, they weren't able to keep up, and we're crashing out, and we had some issues.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to classify it.
Yeah.
I don't even understand all the language you just said
I'm
to me,
sorry.
but no, I'm kidding. I appreciate it. The Earl sewer treatment, I know we were talking about that last year, and we can't find a contractor?
I had them come out and look at it, and he lost all his help, and then was unable to proceed any further with even an estimate.
So, how long can it go without being addressed?
It is working at the moment. It's filtering slower and slower. The sand on the top of the sand beds is what we're talking about, has sunk down into the media. So it's still doing what it needs to do. It's just slower, and it's eventually going to get to a point where it will no longer function. So it's better to rehab now than wait till complete failure.
Right. Okay.
I don't have a timeline for that.
Yeah, no, I was just, because I know we had talked about that last year. I already answered that one myself. Can we get a copy of your PowerPoint? Like, email would be fine.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And then just 2 more questions. Why is the BES estimated roof replacement so much more expensive than the other elementary schools?
Because it's a build-up roof, and the curbing's because now we have R30 insulation, which is required by the state.
Okay.
Boyertown L has like R13, so when you add that extra insulation, all the curbings around the entire building have to be lifted. So there's major renovations there that have to be done.
Okay.
It's not just a go back over it.
Okay. That's all for now. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Zawada?
Yeah, quick question. If the roof is still under warranty, why are we replacing it?
It expires in March, and by the time we can
Well-
get it.
I'm looking at, just for argument's sake, New Hanover.
New Hanover has, I'm sorry, New Hanover has several different types of roofs. So the buildups are under warranty yet, the foam is not. That was to replace the foam. I'm sorry, I didn't specify that out.
So all those ones that we're replacing and still have a warranty is a similar situation? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Neiman?
Yeah, it seems like Boyertown Elementary is in need of quite a bit of work. And that's my understanding from people I've heard from. So, the roof especially, that's something I think we should be doing shortly rather than long-term.
Yes. I had an IR scan, like I said, which they take a machine, they go over it and look for wet insulation underneath the roof itself. There was none at Boyertown L, but there were some bare spots that they were concerned with that should be recoated and retopped in order to continue the operation of that building without leaks and to keep the building in the condition we have it now.
When will we be planning on doing those?
This year, hopefully, if it gets approved, I'll let them know and we'll bid it out.
Ms. Hogan?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said I had no more questions, but I do. Are playgrounds generally covered under this budget? Because I know, no, they're not. That's a different kind of budget. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Just one question. If you do find some savings in some of these projects that you're going forward, can you pull those multi-year, are you prepared or have looked at being able to pull the multi-year projects forward?
Mm-hmm.
So you do have that in your plans as a
Yeah.
contingency?
Yeah.
That if you save some money, say one of the ones was 2 years, you can then move it into up 1 year and do it all at one time?
I have those, the contractors are ready and they could do all of it if we wanted. I split it out for especially the carpet and the window panel replacements.
Great, just in case.
Yep.
Mr. Zawada?
Yeah, meeting with our local representative, just to give a heads up, there is a fund established in Harrisburg strictly for projects on schools, but we've got to have it thoroughly detailed and spelled out. The money is substantial, and it's there for all schools, so it's almost first come, first served. So if we get any, like this roofing project or something like that, if you can get me a breakdown, I'll pass it on to our representative and see what she
Absolutely.
can do for us.
Yeah, I think that's the building modification or building modification program from.
Yeah,
from
it's
Harrisburg.
that, and even we were talking like Boyertown being electric, the elementary school being electric.
Yeah.
They may pay for the step up to get us out of electric.
Okay. I can get you detailed plans.
We can ask questions, right?
Not really. What is it?
I'm just wondering about, you saying about people come in, the loser people, and they can't. How far out do you put your bids? Because people come from near and far to take a bid,
Yeah.
especially right now. So I'm just throwing it out there. If it's multiple bids, I wouldn't just go just in a local area, even if they come from Maryland.
We do RFPs publicly, right?
I think you put an RFP out, a
Mhm.
general RFP out, as far as I know.
Okay.
I don't know the timing.
I don't know, I was just throwing it
Give
out
me this
there.
information.
I've been in construction, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, report of the president, no report at this time. Finance report, treasurer's report, draft June 2022.
Good evening, everyone. The treasurer's treasurer's report for, I snuck up on you. Treasurer's report for June of 2022. This is a preliminary report, and the June 30th balances are as of today. Keep in mind that we typically have vendor invoices that come in after end of fiscal year, and we anticipate that all vendor invoices related to the 2021-22 year will be received by September 30th. An updated final June 30th report will be presented at that time. I have a few highlights from the current report as it stands. For local revenue, delinquent tax collection was approximately $85,600. Earned income tax collection was approximately $2,055,000. Transfer tax collection was approximately $324,500. For state revenue, the PD basic ed subsidy was approximately $2,852,000. Special ed subsidy was approximately $902,000. Retirement subsidy was approximately $1,611,000. Transportation subsidy was approximately $1,123,000. And the sinking fund subsidy was approximately $165,400. For federal revenue, grant subsidy was approximately $4,500. Regarding June expenditures, salaries, benefits, and professional services accounted for 87% of the monthly expenditures. And this concludes the treasurer's report. Thank you.
Okay, motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Deeroff moves. Deeroff moves.
Deeroff moves. Up to Grove seconds. Roll call vote.
I have a question, real quick. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The money coming in, I've asked a couple people, but for the K through lunch program, stores, are we being affected by that because of the federal government not supplying that now?
As far as students needing to pay for their lunch,
Well, whatever we had last year, you know, from what it seems like what I've read, and that's kind of been taken out of, even though we're spending $1 billion in lunch, you can't seem to miss the reductions in those bills. So,
Mr. Zawada, I have not been made aware that this is impacting our families. We have been encouraging and communicating to all of our families about applying for free and or reduced lunch. So we've been getting that out. And there is a grace period to which students are able to receive their lunches under the free and reduced lunch as they may have done in the past. So to date, I've not been told that we're seeing any reflection upon our families, but I'm sure with the extenuating circumstances that we're all living in right now with prices going up, that there are some families that just have not come forward to express how this is impacting them. But we will continue to serve students and make sure that we can feed them when they're at lunch.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Hogan?
I just to piggyback off that question, it's really not treasurer report related, but because the free and reduced lunch is also what like how our Title I is figured out, right? So like it figures out which schools are Title I and which aren't, which brings in additional funding. So we are pushing that out to parents, encouraging people to fill out those applications, even if they believe.
Yes, once we knew that this was going away, that we started that communication through Mrs. Moyer, our communication specialist, working with our cafeteria staff prior to school starting, encouraging people to please start filling out the application. We know that the ability to be approved, that threshold has grown or lowered, whichever one.
You can make more
exactly,
money.
Exactly, that
Put
we
it that
can
way,
we
yeah.
can reach more people.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have been doing the best that we can, and we do then encourage if we see any negative bounces, we also then try to follow up with families and say, please apply, we'll help you to fill it out.
Right. Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have also never stopped, even during the pandemic, in evaluating those families that are directly certified as free or reduced. So there's a process that is provides access to school districts where they can receive notification of those families that would be directly certified. And we have not stopped that process through the pandemic, and we will continue that process to make sure that nobody falls through that should be free or reduced.
Okay, yeah, this is very important. This is a very important topic. One thing we don't want to do is have some kid at school not being fed. That's just not an acceptable practice anywhere, anytime, for any reason. Yes, Ms. Nyman.
Are we having any issues getting our food in?
Ms. DeNicola, I'm not sure if Mrs. Clinton has shared that with you or not. That's not come across my desk.
It has not come across my desk. We are not having any more issues than any other school district.
I will, take this opportunity just to say that we are having some difficulty in staffing. We are working on remedying, helping to support gaining cafeteria staff. We're doing everything we can. Mr. Stout and I were at the ready to serve on Monday if needed. We were told that, they have things under control, but that is an area where you may see reduced staff. We've been hiring. I know that Dr. Frederickson has been recruiting and has 2 people that we did or didn't get onto the agenda this evening. We did get 2 additional staff members on, so we're actively pursuing that help and support. So anyone out there that would like to work in our cafeterias, please reach out to us and we can put you in contact with the right folks to get on board. So thank you.
Any other questions on the Treasurer's report? Forgot where we were. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Dira,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Pinarello,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next we go to the Secretary's report.
No report this evening.
Next, Solicitor's report.
No report.
Next, Superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Ms. Storch.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have officially kicked off the 22-23 school year. We welcomed our teachers back to the classroom on Wednesday, August 17th, and students filled our halls and classrooms on Monday, August 22nd. In visiting each school yesterday, it was a pleasure to see the excitement on our students' and teachers' faces, as well as the welcoming classroom environments at all building levels. It was nice to see desks not in rows, flexible seating up again, the warm, welcoming environment that our students were used to prior to 2020. And the welcome to our teachers this year, our focus was on remembering why we all chose to be educators, and to use that focus to drive us through the upcoming school year. The summer was a time to refresh and refocus, and the administration also shared that this is truly the first year that we're opening up a school year in a typical manner in our new administrative roles since the pandemic. So since 2017, we've had 4 superintendents, 3 assistant superintendents, 5 chief financial officers, 6 assistant business managers, 3 chief human resource officers, 5 facility directors, and 3 IT directors. So at a time when administrators were fleeing their positions, this administrative cabinet came together to tackle the work that none of us were prepared for, provide education during a pandemic. And they don't teach you how to do that in superintendent school, just so all you know. We made mistakes, and each year we have grown from them. So which brings us back to this school year. On behalf of the administration, I would like to welcome everyone to the 22-23 school year. At this time, we would like to share our Portrait of a Graduate video created by BASH student intern Catherine Kummer in conjunction with Mr. Chikaski and the BASH Telecommunications Department and Office of Teaching and Learning. Mr. Stout, would you please play the video?
When I get older, I want to be a sea diver.
I want to be an architect. I want to be a zookeeper.
I want to be a programmer.
Detective.
Popular YouTuber.
Director.
An Olympic gymnast. Artist. Interior designer. A teacher. Construction worker.
Every student is unique and has different goals in life. Boyertown Area School District's Portrait of a Graduate defines the priorities identified by our community to help all students be successful and make a positive impact on our world. In the Boyertown Area School District, we have developed an instructional model that creates flexible pathways for each student's interests, strengths, and goals. There are 3 main components of the portrait. real-world knowledge, composition of character, and social-emotional awareness. Real-world knowledge. The profile of a BASD graduate focuses on the importance of real-world content knowledge and integrates skills that are important to the future success of each student. The foundational concepts that BASD focuses on to develop productive citizens are career awareness, content knowledge, digital literacy, and financial literacy. Various electives can be chosen to personalize the student learning experience based on student interests, strengths, and goals.
In tech ed, kids are exposed to real-world software like SolidWorks to create models. They also are exposed to Chief Architect, which is a 3D modeling software for architecture where we design houses. We also do interior design using that so they can learn layout and features.
Throughout my 4 years of high school, I've taken a variety of electives from the communications department as well as digital art. Towards my junior and senior year, I've taken business classes, including Intro to Business as well as accounting. These classes have helped me determine my major, which is now finance.
Students participate in career awareness activities starting in the 2nd grade through the curriculum, computer applications, BCTC, and internship opportunities.
At Boyertown Elementary, for Veterans Day, we wanted to honor our veterans here in our community, family and friends of our students and staff. We created our veterans wall here in our hallway. They have perfect role models to follow and see their family and friends surrounding them.
Learning at BCTC is a lot different than learning at your normal school because it's easier for a lot of kids, especially like myself, to be able to work on something that they like and be able to do it.
The use of digital tools is integrated in purposeful ways to support instruction, student learning, and assessment practices.
Here at Earl in 1st grade, we're looking at incorporating technology to support independent learning when it comes to writing. At the beginning of the year, we noticed there were a lot of gaps in the 1st grade classroom from the lowest learner to the highest learner, and we needed a way to meet all of their needs within the same component of curriculum.
I watch these videos that tell me like what to do and like tips to write.
So we're using technology to allow them to follow the curriculum at their own pace and learn independently or in a small group setting.
With our personal narratives in trimester 1, it was tremendous growth right away. Just seeing the success of the more advanced writers and how proud they were and taking ownership of their learning, and the pride in the students who needed more support were looking at their paper and seeing a beautifully composed complete sentence.
Social emotional awareness. Public education today must not only provide rigorous academic content, but it must also provide social emotional learning, or SEL for short. SEL is a lifelong process of learning how to better understand ourselves, connect with others, communicate, and work together to support our communities. Students with strong SEL skills display empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. In the Boyertown Area School District, SEL is embedded into instruction at all grade levels through the use of activities and special clubs and organizations.
The student advisory team helps plan events and helps make Gilbertsville a better place. We did Preston's Pantry and we collected tons of donations. It will help a lot of people, especially like the Boyertown community.
I teach 11th grade English, and in one of our units, our transcendental unit, I teach an essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson titled Nature. And with this particular essay, I bring the students to Boyertown Park, where they engage in activities such as nature meditation, a guided nature scavenger hunt, and just an opportunity to be outside to de-stress their brains in nature.
We had every student in our school color a unique fish, and we attached them to the bulletin board, all swimming in the same direction. And we got this idea from the book You Be You, where they talk about we are all moving in the same direction, working towards the same goals, even though we're all different people.
Composition of character. The Boyertown Area School District has worked with students, teachers, administrators, parents, and community members to develop the expected character traits of a BASD graduate. Graduates should possess knowledge and skills that include, but also extend beyond what is measured on standardized tests. BASD graduates should also demonstrate the qualities of kindness and integrity in words and actions, as well as develop the capacity to be resilient in all experiences of adult life.
One of the things I think that makes our technology and engineering program effective is that we have a really great after-school program with TSA. With TSA, the kids get to do a lot of group activities where they collaborate and they have to communicate with each other well. Working in the group settings and working, to achieve a common goal. I feel like the things that we do in TSA have really been successful, and I think that the kids' performances have really shown that they've done a great job here at Boyertown.
Link Crew is a group of student mentors that work with our freshmen to make them stronger members of our Boyertown community. They accomplish this by performing team building activities to build their character throughout the year.
Here at Colbertdale, every month we have an assembly called Kind Kids. Staff and teachers are able to nominate students for showing kindness in the classroom. These students are then represented in an assembly each month that is aired by Miss Mason, where she shares what the teachers and staff wrote about each student and why they were nominated to be a kind kid.
Being kind means helping your classmates when they are having trouble.
Making people feel better when they are sad.
Working well with others and being a team player.
Boyertown graduates are making a positive impact in our world in many different ways.
I'm president and owner of Herb Real Estate in Gilbertsville, PA.
I'm a global product planner for Sonos, based out of Santa Barbara, California.
I'm a meteorologist and climate reporter with KCRA3, the NBC affiliate in Sacramento, California.
I'm the principal of Boyertown Middle School West.
I'm a circuit design engineer working on server microprocessors for IBM out of Poughkeepsie, New York.
I'm a social studies teacher at Boyertown Area High School.
I'm a support associate in the manufacturing division at Merck.
I'm a heavy equipment operator and truck driver at the Summit County Resource Allocation Park in Dillon, Colorado.
I'm a marketer at Campbell Soup Company, specializing in building activations for iconic brands, commercials, brand partnerships, you name it.
I'm an air traffic controller at Washington, D.C.'s Air Route Traffic Control Center.
I'm a certified veterinary technician at Pat Veterinary Hospital in Gilbertsville, Pennsylvania.
Our Portrait of a Graduate encourages endless opportunities for all students in the Boyertown Area School District.
Thank you, Mr. President. That completes my report. I guess I'm moving right along.
Did we want to have any questions or anything on that, or did you want to accept that?
Sure, Mr. Stout, if you'd like to come to the podium, if there are any questions, I know that you would be better suited to answer. Mrs. Hogan?
Not a question, just a comment. It was very well done. I appreciate it, and thank you to everyone who put it together.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
I like the fact that you guys are reaching out to past Boyertown graduates and getting them to recognize, here we are, here's what we did, here's the basis you gave us. I know personally I'd like to see more of that, especially with the graduates, to reach out to them more and say, hey, I'm here, Boyertown helped me, or Boyertown could have done a little more. So, I mean, we're going to look at both ways on that. I mean, let's look at both sides. But I know there's a lot of Boyertown grads out there that have been very successful. If we can just reach them and have them, I know that's not an easy job because everybody's busy, but if there's any way you could do that or anything that we can help on, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd just like to say, well done, Mr. Stout.
It truly was a team, and Ms. Coomer was vital. We met with her in the early parts of last year, and I believe she was at one of our board meetings, Mrs. Torsha, as a recognition, I believe. And this was in the background, and it would have been really exciting for her to present that. So she's on to her AV future career.
It is, and I have nothing to present under the superintendent's report, under the consent agenda. Moving right on to the superintendent's report itemized agenda. Tonight, we will be presenting Kelly Education Agreement, Exhibit A, Revision 2, the approval of Middle School West Musical, Annie Jr., approval of Miss Denise Ernst as board treasurer, the revision of the 22-23 Health and Safety Plan, change order GC003 related to the ATA-MM project, and the final payment on the ATA-MM project, and as well as the security letter of support, and of course, personnel. So is there any objection to approving the first three, Kelly Education, approve the Middle School West Musical, and approve Miss Denise Ernst as board treasurer? Does anyone have any comment?
Comment about the education agreement.
Okay.
I've been approached, and I just want to know what the policy is, how people that are under the Kelly agreement, she actually got a raise. She's an assistant, and went from $12 to $14 an hour. That wasn't the issue, but her hours were cut, and she deals as a assistant in special needs classes. So, but she's kind of asking, where do I go? And I said, I don't know, because it's a subcontract.
Right. Dr. Frederickson has been working with the Kelly agreement. If you would like to come to the podium to respond, that would be great.
So the agreement that's on the agenda is for Kelly Education Services. What you're referring to is for a paraprofessional that falls under the blanket of the CRESS agreement, which is different.
So, policy, they would contact them.
They would contact CRESS, yes.
And if they don't have satisfaction, are they allowed to contact HR here?
Well, they can, but their CRESS is their employer.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on the first through the Kelly Education Agreement, the middle school,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, because I know we have a hard time getting subs, as everyone does, so it's not just a Boyertown issue. But are these more in line with what other area districts are paying? Sorry to make you come back.
Yes, the adjustment in the rates is getting us more aligned with what's out in the county. It's still, we're still waiting to see, because the dive into the support staff subs is still new for us. But right now we're getting some positive feedback, and Kelly is providing a lot of support on the recruitment side to try and get some staff in there.
So this is more in line with what area? So do we have a range of what they're offering?
I don't have the rates for district or county-wide, what they're offering for subs in that area, but we had realigned for both our custodial staff and food service staff to get them more aligned within the county, and these sub rates are reflective of that.
When we look at county rates, are we only looking at Berks, or are we also looking at Montgomery County?
We're looking at Berks County.
Okay, because we are a split district, and that could, that can affect what we're able to pull in, I guess, the pool. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Hogan, I was waiting for the survey results that were being done by the Berks County Intermediate Unit. It's spinning right now, or else I would be able to give you a better response. So once I have that, I will put it out to the entire board with respects to your question about where are we in line with our neighboring school district. Yeah, sure.
Ms. Nyman, go ahead.
Just want to check and make sure we were in line with our budget with these new figures. Was this part of it?
Dr. Frederickson is shaking her head yes, that it would be in line with our budget. I don't believe, yeah.
We're going to need a longer extension cord to take that over there.
Any other questions with regard to those first three, A, B, and C? All right. Seeing none, then I'm going to ask that the Board of School Directors approve the revision of Exhibit A with Kelly Education as presented, along with approving the student musical production of Annie Jr. at Middle School West, and to approve the appointment of Ms. Denise Ernst to the position of Board Treasurer for the 22-23 fiscal year at an annual stipend of $1,200.
Zuardo moves.
Hogan seconds.
Zuardo moves, Hogan second. We have a roll call vote, please, on the first three, A, B, and C.
Mrs. Scott.
Yes.
Ms. Giroux.
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway.
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Panorello,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, I would ask that the Board of School Directors approve the revised 22-23 Health and Safety Plan as presented. The document has been cleaned up to reflect all of the removal of the cross-out red-lined items and to reflect what I presented at the Committee of the Whole meeting. Any questions with regards to the Health and Safety Plan? Sorry, Mr. Zawada. Well, I'm going to start with that one only because that may have some questions. Go ahead, Mrs. Scott.
I'm going to go back to where I was at the last meeting. The only thing I have a concern about, and it's a question, and only because parents have asked me, otherwise, I probably would not be, but because they have. With the vaccinations, do we do vaccinations here?
No, we do not do
so-
vaccinations here.
Okay, so it kind of reads kind of funky there, but at this point in all of this, why would we not just say, see your healthcare?
I'm sorry. I
don't have my mic
but
on.
I did
Okay.
respond incorrectly. When, during the 2021 school year, when the first vaccine was out, we were a host site for the community because the community at large was looking to be vaccinated, something to protect themselves. So we did work with the medicine shop in conjunction with them to help, bring the vaccines to those that were interested. After that, the 2021 spring, that was the only time that we were a vaccination site. Everyone else would go out. The only reason why it's listed this way is because the state is asking that should there be a need or another reason to be able to do mass numbers, would school districts continue to provide their venue as a place for people to come? And since we had done it in the past and we believe that that's what our community wanted, in order to be able to receive, it quicker than going into your doctor, because at the time they weren't distributing those vaccines to their healthcare providers. I'm not sure that we have to get to that point again with regards to this virus. But as we have learned over the last 2 years, you just don't know.
So could it be listed as an emergency if it becomes an emergency? We know right now, listen, if it became an emergency, I don't think anybody here would stop that. I'm just saying, there's a part that wants the vaccines available, there's another part that wants that control to be in the care of the healthcare professional. And so I guess the biggest question is, we don't push them here. Because that's what I get asked, and I said, well, I never hear that we do that. So I'm assuming that we're not pushing something that belongs to your doctor. If a teacher's asked, she would just say, see your doctor.
If they ask, we refer them to places that we know. And the way that the plan is reading, it says Boyertown will continue to collaborate with local healthcare providers and epidemiologist leaders regarding targeted areas of needs, and will continue to serve as a vaccination host site if called upon. So if you would, in the event of an emergency and called upon, I don't have a problem changing that language if the majority of the board supports the change in that language. Yes, Mr. Hemingway.
Is this plan COVID specific?
This is specific to, yeah, good question, but it is specific to COVID. It is a result of the rescue, the funds that they put in place. So yes.
But with that language, if there was some, sorry. But so with that language, if there, of course we're all familiar with COVID, but who knows what's around the back corner. This plan would allow that accommodation for the use of our facilities if need be. Number one, satisfying the question from the state, and number two, satisfying the demand of the community in the event that an event would happen that we would have to do any kind of mass distribution of whatever it may be.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, correct. But I have no problem adding that word, Mrs. Hogan.
I just wanted to clarify, when we say like they, we're talking like when you were saying if they wanted information about vaccines, we're talking about parents, not students.
Yes,
Right.
if parents, if
Yeah.
our community would be looking for a vaccine location and we have that information, we do share it with them.
Right. And just for general information, because I did volunteer at the clinic, I do know that anyone who was under 18 had to have their parent's signature, so they had to be there, they had to sign. No one was like vaccinated without parental consent. So, just FYI.
That's good. Yeah, okay.
So are you comfortable with the way that it's presented, Mrs. Scott?
I wanted to just make sure that we're not, the biggest fear with some were, are we pushing these on our kids? Are we pushing this kind of thing? I didn't hear that about the community. That was always my response, but I want to clarify it here.
Right. And it is not a requirement to be able to come to school. It's not part of
Right.
the immunizations that the Department of Health does dictate to us.
Okay, thank
Okay?
you.
All right, so then I'm going to leave it the way that
It's
sits
fine.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were more as a support to the medicine shop, which would be a support to anybody that would be distributing. So it's not that we're pushing anything, we're just there to support should someone step forward and say we're doing this.
Mr. Zawada has a question.
Yes, Mr. Watt.
This has, I don't know if it would fall under this, but have we used our COVID funds up that were given to us through the federal government and the state?
They have been laid out over the years that we are allowed to be utilizing them. We have finished up using some portion of the funding that has come our way, and then we are into another step. There are so many, Mr. Zawada, I wouldn't be able to specifically tell you where we're at. Dr. O'Barrow has been managing it with Ms. DeNicola. And we're on target to be expending the full amount of money by the time that this money goes away.
All right.
2024 or 2025, I can't.
Yeah, okay, I just, if.
We're on target.
Maybe I'll send a quick email to Patty if, nothing that I'm trying to, but there's some places, businesses, cities that have not even touched their money.
Oh, we're
And there's a
touching it.
lot-
Oh,
Okay.
I'm actually directing people to go back in and reopen because we have set aside monies and I don't want them to sit there. I want to spend them, especially as it pertains to staffing and making sure that we have the resources in place for our schools. Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, we use that partially for funding our summer schools, correct?
It supports summer school, it supports after-school learning, it supports any intervention that we have and or need. It, where's Dr. O'Barrow when I need her whispering in my ear? But it is supporting any learning gaps that could have been caused as a result of the last 2 years, which we're trying not to use that word, the P word, so I'm gonna have a dollar jar here for all of you, because we're moving forward.
I do have one other thing. I had a parent also question me on that. So could we get some type of an accounting that we could see and be comfortable with? Is there a way that we can see what's going on?
I will.
Or have a list of what you just said?
I will ask Dr. O'Barrow and for Ms. DeNicola to put something together to show when we started and kind of outline our grant budget spot so that we can at least cut and paste perhaps. I'm probably oversimplifying it because I am in the same system that we've been applying for and it's not that easy all the time to navigate. So I will certainly try to get that out to you in the next few weeks, okay? No.
I know there's a lot of students that are still having emotional issues from all of this. Are we still helping them or are we pushing it back on the parents?
Oh, we are putting together quite the aggressive mental health management plan. As I have on here a motion to support letter for the safety and security, the school district has also been the recipient of $200,707 for mental health supports. And so I am working with Dr. Horton, who is our counseling supervisor. She works with all of our counselors. She works with all of our contracted behavioral health services, and we are looking to fill in the gaps of things that we need to be able to continue to put supports in place. So we've stretched those ESSER ARP monies out pretty far to really be bringing those professionals in so that they can be meeting kids in our school setting, opposed to trying to get kids to mental health providers outside of school. We find that that's the best way. So in answer to your question in a very long-winded way, yes, we are supporting our students, and we're trying to build the capacity to be able to put them into our budget so that they don't have to be relied upon for through the grants. So this current grant that we are working on right now is for this year and for the 23-24 school year. So we're hoping, as we're presenting the budget for the 24-25 school year, I don't know where I'll be, but we're hoping that that will be able to be incorporated as part of that budget, that we would be able to embed social worker, keep these other mental health providers. So we're constantly working. The problem is we have money and there's not always people ready to be filling into these positions. But Dr. Horton's been doing a terrific job of working with both Creative Health and the Lincoln Center in recruiting.
Mr. Brophy, I'd like to make a motion to accept the 22-23 health and safety plan.
Do I have a second?
Hogan seconds.
Mr. Hemingway first, Mr. Hogan second. Discussion's over, so we go to a vote. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Giroux,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the Board of School Directors. We'll be seeking from the Board of School Directors the approval of the change order number GC-003 related to the ATAMM project closeout, which results in a credit to the district of $5,168.95. This is the project that is related to the stadium, correct, Ms. Denicola?
That is correct. And Mr. Clark from KCBA is available tonight if anybody has any questions.
So looking for a motion
Hogan motions.
and then questions. I don't know what ATAMM stands for, but Ms. Denicola, do you know what ATAMM stands for?
Maybe KCBA could answer that. I was not present at the time that the Adam project commenced.
I was afraid you would ask that. It had to do with maintenance. I'll have to look it up and get it back to you. It was an acronym that had to do with maintaining and expanding the stadium project.
Okay, how about athletic maintenance modernization project? Does that sound right?
That sounds pretty close. Thank you. It's been over 2 years closing this out. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why the name's almost engraved in my skull. Thank you.
So what I'm reading is ADA Title IX Athletic Maintenance Modernization Project Phase 2. Any other questions about this change order? Not seeing any, I think we could probably go to roll call.
Okay. Do we get a motion? We got the motion and a second on this already, so we can go to roll call vote?
I believe it was Ms.
We
Hogan
can-
and then seconded by Mr. Updegrove.
Right, so we can go to a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Giroux,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we will be looking for the Board of School Directors to approve the final payment on the ATAMM project in the amount of $39,932.90.
Hogan motions.
Sawada second.
Hogan motions, Zawada second. Discussion?
This is the final check.
This is the final check. We're done.
We are complete. This closes out the project.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Darrow.
It include the girls' softball field.
Mr. Clough, does it include the girls' softball field? I believe it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
That is
Okay, 'cause
correct.
You do realize we're still digging out mud every time it rains. Because the drain or something is lower than the field itself or the water coming in. I don't know, it's a mess.
It's higher.
It's higher, I guess. So every time it rains, we have to dig out the mud.
Is that accurate, Mr. Shield?
That wasn't on the punch list.
Okay.
There is mud coming in, which we're going to replace with stone in the front.
Thank you.
So there is a plan to address that? So you're, okay,
Yeah,
is
but
that,
still, it wasn't done right, or it wouldn't be doing that.
yeah, is it under the contract, under, what are we doing it under?
And that might be a question for Mr. Clough.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Clough?
My understanding was that the district had completed work to its satisfaction, and at this point, or just maintaining the field that was there, and that's why we were authorized to release that payment.
Was it in the original contract by chance?
This was not a punch list item.
It wasn't a punch list item. This was done before I came on. I went through the punch list and that was not on there.
So we've already in effect accepted this, correct? Mr. Upper?
Is there any kind of guarantee or warranty for that?
The warranty for this project actually expired because of the years that had passed, year and a half. But what we did is we held the money so that the school district could do the work and do a much better job, and they did do a much better job. I wasn't aware that there might be a piece or two left out there, but I don't think there was anything of substantial.
Yes, Ms. Hogan.
So we have accepted it as completed, or we have not?
We have.
Sounds like
We have. Yeah. Thank you.
That's what happens every time. We accept it. We don't complain about the problems.
Who accepted it?
I was given a punch list from.
Stand at the,
Yeah.
No, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
Getting a lot of exercise tonight.
I was given a punch list with Vidavia, and we went through and we completed everything on the punch list. That was not part of the punch list. It seemed like it was something that was taken out of the project. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jay. They were supposed to macadam further back, from what I was told by our groundskeeper who was here during the project, and that was taken out.
I believe you are correct.
So that was taken out prior to.
So in effect, the project changed scope at some point, and
Yes.
CADM came out, and that was that, and we accepted that. I'm making that as a guess. We accepted that change request and not put the CADM in. So now we will be responsible to put the stone in. Is that what I'm? Is that my understanding?
That's what I yeah.
Yes, Mr. Upderoot.
Could you come up with a price on what it would cost to correct the problem?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, if you got some time, look at it. If it's just
Yeah.
some blacktop, that can't be that expensive.
I'm just disgusted. We do this all the time. All the time. Just take a look at the tennis courts.
Thank you. So this is the girls' softball field, which this issue could make us non-compliant for Title IX? No?
No. The field has been used, it is compliant, it meets those guidelines. It's another issue that had nothing really to do with that compliance piece.
Okay. good to know. Thank you.
Scott, you do have a plan for repair then?
Yes, Mr. Duroff, our head groundskeeper, and myself, we're going to have it completed this summer. Unfortunately, he's not here right now, so.
Thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Duarte.
If in the near future you could possibly get us a
Hold it.
estimate, you know, what this is gonna cost, can we keep that in a reserve fund and release the other monies to the company at this point?
Patty, did you hear Mr. Zawada's question?
I missed that. Could you repeat that, Mr. Zavada?
I just said, if we got an idea or an estimate what it is gonna cost, could we hold that back in a reserve fund until the job is completed and release the rest of the funds that we owe them now?
I think that ship has sailed because you have released the funds by that pay application.
There are remaining funds within the Atom project, though, that are held within 4 capital projects. So those funds will remain until they're approved by the board to be utilized, and they may be approved for this such purpose, should the board deem sufficient.
Thanks, Patty.
Mr. Hemingway.
So this will be done in-house then, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Dura,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Panarello,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
No.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, we have that recommendation for the Board of School Director to authorize the letter of support for the security planning and purchase of security-related technology based upon the needs identified to enhance the safety of each of the buildings within our school district. This is in direct relation to the grant that I am completing for security-related technology. So in order for us to apply for this particular section of the grant, it does require a letter of support from the board. We are looking to continue to upgrade our security-related technology. We have done a great job. There is certainly more that needs to be done, and this is a great way of being able to continue to move forward with enhancing our school building safety.
I'll make the motion. Hemingway makes the motion.
Hemingway motion. Okay, Panarello seconds. Discussion.
Is this gonna be the company we met a couple weeks back? Will they be handling this?
Yes, Next Gen will be doing this with our security consultant who is overseeing. Yep.
So when you're saying technology, are we talking about more cameras or metal detectors? What are we talking about?
We're not looking at metal detectors. We are looking at more cameras specifically for the outsides of our buildings. This building and our support services building has no cameras at all. So at the support services building, we have our maintenance custodial work, our bus drivers. It's a place where a lot of people are going in and out, as well as this building. So we're looking to bring camera system here. We're looking to incorporate electronic lock systems in places where we don't have them, where we would like to have them. We're looking to alarm doors to make sure that any of the 100 doors at the high school that could be ajar, we would be getting an alarm telling us exactly where, as well as with our other buildings. So certainly $200,000 isn't going to cover everything within the district, but it's a good start. Ms. Nyman.
So we're going to be trying to do a little something at every school. It's not just going to be one school and the other schools are left alone.
Correct. Every school has been upgraded. So the elementaries have finally been brought up to speed with our middle and high school, our middle schools and high school. Now we're trying to put in the extra stuff. So we took care of like what they call the low hanging fruit, more or less. So now we're continuing to fill in the gaps of the tier 1. So there's 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Before you can start to apply for some of those other tiers, you have to make sure that you're meeting the base. So this will check those boxes off for us. Yes, Ms. Hogan.
And this was money that was allocated through the state's education budget, right? Yeah.
Yes. This was a part of the governor's, the bill that went forward, and I want to say like $190 million that was secured for the
right.
Commonwealth. Boyertown Area School District received $200,707 for safety security and $200,707 for mental health.
Fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I know.
How many cents?
No sense.
Okay, I think we've had the motion, so let's go to roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Roth,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Pennarello,
Yes.
Mr. Updike,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Lastly, I'm looking for the Board of School Directors to approve the personnel agenda items as presented.
Hogan motions.
And Up to Grove second, discussion. Mr.
I'm
Zawada.
busy tonight, but looking through this and some of this stuff, it looks like we have one person like covering 3 libraries. If I'm reading this correct. And I just was wondering how they do that. You know, it seems to be in the elementary schools. I'm trying to forward down. I don't want to mention the person's name.
We do share our specialists amongst the elementary schools, so there is, they are placed in the buildings based upon the special schedule that is put together in collaboration with the 6 building principals. So that happens with music, art, and gym as well. So they are shared amongst the schools. You're welcome.
Ms. Scott.
Obviously, they're not all teachers, but for the teachers, are they in their contracts? Like, are those stipends in their contracts?
It is a part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, so then that's part of the retirement too, so that's on that, or is that just, is it, I don't know how, does that figure in there somewhere, or is it just that?
Does PCERS figure into
Right.
their, yes.
It does, so it figures into all that, okay. Because
Ms. Hogan.
I have a personnel question, but it's not related to this. Do you want me to wait until board comment or? Okay. I just wanted to ask, do we have a full-time nurse in every school building?
We do.
Okay.
We do, and in some days, there's 2 nurses, as long as everybody is present, but we have moved our staff nurses to 5 days a week, starting this year, and every school has a full-time staff nurse, and then we have our certified school nurse who has the requirement of the responsibility of the reporting for 1,200 students, whatever the Pennsylvania, I think it's 1,600 is what their allowable amount is. We're not quite there. We have the right amount of certified school nurses to cover that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Under the co-curricular activities, could we, from here on in, get like an itemized thing of how much that is costing us for all these people?
So you would like the amount on the right-hand side totaled up to show
Yeah,
what
at the bottom.
the cost is?
Yeah.
Mr. Brophy,
It would just be nice to see what that's costing.
You talk about the final at the bottom, all the way at the bottom?
it is the co-curricular, and it starts on page, in the middle of page 3, and carries all the way through to
Page 5.
Page 5.
Just
Yes.
have a total at the bottom of that to see what all of the people are costing the district?
I did add it up, if you want to know. Because there was a lot.
Ms. Stenicola, is there,
Yeah, it would be Mrs. Dr. Frederickson.
oh, Dr. Frederickson, is there a way, I mean, software-wise, I don't want you sitting at your desk doing longhand additions. Is there any way to change the table so you just get a total table, a total box at the bottom?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem at all. Where the problem might lie is more in the athletics, where there might be some changes that happen after the year begins. But those initial appointments for the year, it's very easy to add the sum on there. But when you have any changes that might happen after the fact, it gets a little bit.
It's just an idea for us.
Sure.
To see what's being
That's not a
spent.
problem at all.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're not looking for change, to be updated and changed?
No,
So-
no.
Okay, if you can do that, like I say, as long as it's not, something sitting down there on your desk, I mean, okay, if you can just put it into, I guess, Excel spreadsheet and make the change. Okay,
No problem at all.
I have no problem.
Thank you.
And these are all bargained. They are part of the collective bargaining agreement that is in place through this year. So as we go into the next contract with the association, those fees would also be bargained as part of that contract. So they're not salaries that we come up with. It is in conjunction with the CBA.
So just to verify, so they're for, like the band, we know this is all after-school activities, and that's basically what all this is, okay.
Correct.
We have a motion. Yeah, we have a motion in a second, yeah. So, we'll check it out, Mrs. Nicole. We do have a motion and a second on that, didn't we?
Yes, we do.
Okay, just checking. Okay, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Dearlock,
No.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mrs. Hogan,
Yes.
Ms. Nyman,
Yes.
Mr. Pedrello,
Yes.
Mr. Updegrove,
Yes.
Mr. Zawada,
Yes.
Mr. Brophy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I do have old business. I do want to let everyone know that at the committee of the whole meeting, there will be a policy committee meeting, and the agenda for that night will be for all of us to sit and have a 30-minute working session looking at the current policy 707, the way that it stands right now, for us to go through it. I will make recommendations as far as things that are not being followed consistently, and recommendations, on what could come from that policy. The policy is only the policy that will be covering that evening. It will not be the addendum or the administrative regulation that impacts fees. That will be another working session so that we can review that thoroughly, so that we can, talk about what fees are being charged right now. I will have compiled the fees that are being charged to the different vendors who are using, or organizations that are using our buildings, so that we can see that how some nonprofits are being charged and others may not be. So that we can, really have a good comparison, have conversation, talk about the structure. What I presented last meeting really was a starting point for discussion, but we do need to do something to rectify how our facilities are being used, unbudgeted things that are being asked for that we're ending up paying for as a result of use of our facilities, so that we can make sure that we're streamlining and that the district is not, carrying any burden when it comes to opening our doors to outside organizations, especially when there might be things that we don't have budgeted. So that will be the process that I would like to go, because I do believe that this is sensitive, and I want to make sure that we're all understanding what we have in place currently. And I know that I had asked Mrs. Scott to start there, because understanding policy and administrative regulations can sometimes be confusing. So that's my old business. So just to start, is going to be on current 707, the way it sits right now, but it does need some updating, because we're not following through with the things that are in 707, and then some places we are. So we want to make sure that we're being consistent, because part of 707 says that if you're not allowed to use our building more than 3 times. Well, we know that there are organizations out there utilizing our building more than 3 times. So do we really want that to be sitting in our policy? So, those are the types of things that I would like to direct the board to. Ms. Nightman?
And you'll have examples of the bills so that we can see what is and what you were proposing.
Correct. We're going to share with you what we have been currently receiving from the different organizations. And again, we looked at the Wilson School District in Berks County because they're pretty comparable in size to us. We also looked at Springford School District and how they were also charging for outside organizations. And then we kind of started in the middle with our recommendations. So what we had was nothing that was hard fast, but it was a starting point for a conversation, because we do need to bring this to current day the way that our facilities are being used. And again, just to streamline. Ms. Hogan, go ahead.
And that's, you said the next committee meeting, that's 9:13 at Gilbertsville?
Correct.
Okay.
That will be on that.
It'll be on that agenda.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Actually, and I'm going to be proposing to board leadership that I bring up the committee information to the top of the agenda so that we can start with committee and then move down to any business that we might have. So
Where, it's been so long, where within the building will the meeting be?
we will be in the cafeteria. I believe
Oh.
that is the places within our elementary schools that we've been meeting because it can support us. But you're right,
Yeah.
I don't remember back to the last time that we were at Gilbertsville Elementary School.
Yeah.
I will make sure that information is out and advertised. But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it'll be the cafeteria.
Okay, I appreciate it.
We'll have
Thanks.
arrows on the floor for me.
Sure, we'll have arrows, absolutely. Okay, that completes that report, Mr.
Okay, public comment period number 2. We have some people signed up, so let me read the blurb. On behalf of the Board of School Directors, I would like to welcome you to this meeting. We welcome your attendance and input from stakeholders to assist us with making recommendations and decisions related to the Boyertown Area School District. The procedures and rules for public participation are detailed in BISD Board Policy 903. This document is available on the BISD website. Participants properly registered with the Board Secretary will be recognized by the presiding officer. Public comment period number 2 is for those persons wishing to discuss items not appearing on the evening agenda. Participants must preface their comments by an announcement of their name. All statements, inquiries, or comments shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members individually, administrative team members, individual school employees, or members of the public individually. Note that we value and will not compromise the privacy of our students and staff. Please see us outside of the realm of public meetings if you have a concern about an individual or staff member or student. If your public comment includes a question, Mrs. Torsha or a member of her staff will be in contact with you to confirm your question and provide you with information. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and the comment periods are limited to 30 minutes. Finally, note that we do record our board committee meetings and we post them on YouTube with a link to our website. We request that if you do wish to take pictures or record a meeting yourself, do so non-destructively in a discreet manner. Use those materials respectfully and responsibly. Thank you. First person would be Nicole Zelps.
Good evening, Nicole Zelps. At the June 26th meeting, At the June 26th meeting, I asked why board members were not provided information that they asked for in regards to the budget. I sent a follow-up email stating that I was still waiting on the answer to my question. I received a response from the board president, Mr. Brophy. I'm now going to share that email I received. The board members, all board members, were provided with all pertinent information needed to vote on the presented budget. In fact, 6 members had no reservations in that regard. 2 of the members stated at the previous meeting that they had thought tax increases were too high and would not vote in favor of it. That, in my opinion, means they had the required information to make an informed decision, and they even provided a number they could support. The remaining member voted using the same reasoning as last year, stating that that member did not have enough information to vote on the issue. That member had no reservations about voting for the maximum increase in 2020, but seems to have great reservations when we don't take the maximum allowed dollars from our taxpayers. So to answer your question, both the administration and the board leadership believe all required information was indeed provided. I would also expect that duly affected officials can voice their own concerns on board matters. I do not recall them abdicating that duty to individuals of the public. That's the end of the email. Per policy 003, information request of board members states that it is the responsibility of the administration to provide information on all issues in which the board makes decisions. If the request requires more than 1 hour of time, it should be put on the board president's report to be discussed at a public meeting where the decision will be made if the request should be honored. This policy was not followed. And according to Mr. Brophy, board leadership and administration both made a decision what information would or would not be given to elected officials. This is a huge concern for me, since board leadership is no more an elected official than any other member, and according to policy 003, administration does not have the authority to solely make a decision to what information is provided to board members. I suggest both board leadership and administration learn the district's policies to prevent violations in the future. I want to remind the board president, I'm a community member. I'm a taxpayer to this district. This provides me every right to address my concerns to this board. No amount of bullying, threats, or intimidation will prevent me from speaking my mind. I speak for myself and no one else. I find his comment both out of line and offensive. Due to time restraints, I'm unable to address all my concerns with this email, so I will end with this. People in this community are watching, and we see the dysfunction of this board. Thank you.
Ms. Donahue Savage.
Thank you, Donnie Savage. Back to school week is really always very exciting, and I'd like to share my best wishes for staff and students and their families for a successful school year. Also loved the portrait of a studio video. Great effort on the team, and it really shows our district's vision for our students' success. Love to see that. And congrats on closing the ATAM project. That was many years coming. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about board effectiveness regarding your role in district oversight. District oversight doesn't mean micromanaging, and it also doesn't mean rubber stamping. It means asking really hard questions about how things are going. I think that some of the things you can think about asking are what's going well? What are the risks? Do we have risks regarding our budget, like inflationary costs or not meeting the hopes of reducing our charter school enrollments? Do we have staffing issues that are going to affect the way that we can educate our kids and provide a quality education or provide for student safety and well-being? Just sharing some suggestions based on experience. Next, I'd like to talk to you about your policy 312, the performance assessment of the superintendent, which is based on Pennsylvania School Code section 1073.1, which requires that you have a formal written performance assessment of the superintendent and assistant superintendent annually, and the time frame for doing that is included in the contract with the superintendent. It also requires that you have objective performance standard posted on the website, and after your performance assessment that you post the date and met or not met regarding how the superintendent performed, and post that on your website. I'm not aware that the evaluation was even done. I'm pretty sure based on my experience that the date in the contract to have that done was probably June. You can check, but I think you're not following your policy or the state's rules. And lastly, I wanted to talk to you about board self-assessment. I forwarded the board something from PSBA. They offer a tool that helps the board look at yourselves as a collective unit to see how effective you are. It's based on your PSB Principles for Governance and Leadership, which is your policy 011. And it lets you openly and honestly evaluate the collective performance of your board. And I think in order to
30 seconds, please.
It would show a great commitment on your part to continue doing better and serving the district, your entire community, your students, and your staff. Thank you very much.
Next, Fred Schneider, Scheidler, sorry.
There you go. Got it right.
Second time, you gotta give me a second on the second
That's it.
time.
I'll give you all the time you want. Fred Scheidler, 176 Booker Road, Gilbertville, PA. My issue is, I'm sorry. My issue is with the Transportation Department. Transportation Department is run and owned by Quigley. That's a monopoly. I'd never heard of that. 2, in the state of Pennsylvania, a kindergartner is not supposed to pass a double yellow line to get on the bus. First day of school, Monday. My daughter had to cross the street to get on the bus. Okay? Same kid lives across from us, had to do the exact same thing on my side. Left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. First time hearing all this, okay? My issue is people in the community don't have a lot of money. Monopolizing and putting boundaries on daycare, you can only go here. Daycare, you can only go there. My issue is the person that takes care of my kid lives on County Line Road. I needed my kid picked up in my house in the morning because she don't have all day. She has to be dropped off at 11 at my daycare, okay? You're saying, okay, Mr. Reens, which I had, Mr. Reens, okay? They started out doing, okay. They didn't have enough staffing. They still charged me the same amount, but then started raising their rates, okay? Then they started using the COVID against everyone, saying, well, we don't have, your kid has COVID. They can't come in today. Only a certain amount of kids came in. So the ratio went to that. I'm still paying the same amount. Now my kid's not going home, or not going to school. Now I got to find daycare for them. And then they wanted to charge me for that. So the monopoly that's going on here, I mean, all you guys got to see this. There's no way that you're blind. And like the last person said, you're elected officials, okay? I'm from Ben Sound. A lot of politics down there, okay? Philadelphia, I work for Philadelphia. There's politics, okay? The biggest thing is you help the community. We put you where you're at, okay? I need my daughter picked up, taken over here. It's as simple as having a bus, okay? Or sorry, a van. You're not giving me anything. I can't afford to put my kid in this and still have her somewhere else. Monopolizing, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be here at every meeting the rest of my life. Until I move out of Boyertown, I will be here. I'm going to sit in that same exact seat. You're going to see me every time. Whether the board changes or not, you're going to see me. I need help with this. You dismiss me when I send an email. 5 minutes, the email went up to you guys, came back, boom, denied. Okay? I put a deviation in. They said, the deviation can't be for 4 days a week. I said, okay, we'll do all 5. Daycare, because my wife's off on Mondays. They said, they sent it back, denied. Someone didn't look at the email. They dismissed it the first time, and then they dismissed it the second time. Come on, guys. Open your eyes. Seriously.
Board comments, please. Let's start with Mrs. Nyman.
First of all, welcome back, everybody. I know we've had bus issues, and my comment has been to everybody that has gotten a hold of me. We always have issues the first week. Let's please be a little courteous, a little helpful. Drivers are going to miss stops. It's inevitable. I'm sure we're still short-staffed, if I'm correct. How many?
At least 6.
At least 6. So we've got to, be a little bit considerate. I understand this gentleman's concerns tonight. And that goes back to when Dr. Fadley was here. He stopped our runs to daycares. So that was stopped, oh God, how long is Fadley gone now? 7 years. So that's about 7 years, maybe 8 years, because he did it while he was still here. So I understand your concern. It's been a concern of a lot of residents in our community. With the shortage of drivers, I'm sure that's not going to be an easy fix. And I would love to fix that issue, because you're not the only one I've heard that from, sir. But welcome back to a new school year. Let's start moving forward and see where we can go. Maybe we can come up with some solutions. Thank you.
Ms. Hogan.
Sure. So I actually have a question about Quigley. So I understand that driver shortages are happening everywhere, but this is the second year and it's pretty severe and very impactful. I know my own daughter didn't get home until 4:30 for 2 days in a row, and she's in 5th grade. So if they can't meet our transportation needs, are they offering more pay to increase more drivers, and to attract more subs, like we're doing for our cafeteria workers? Like, what is happening to kind of try to bridge this gap?
Mr. Stout, I know that you've been spending a lot of time in transportation supporting. I don't know if you can speak to that or not.
I can't speak to the specifics of what they're paying their current employees. I do know that there were raises. They are trying to promote hiring new staff. I have spent my last couple of days there and plan on spending the rest of the week there helping. There are interviews happening as we speak. People going for their CDL license is kind of a little bit of a difficult task because it's a time-consuming task that takes a lot of commitment. So there's been a handful of people that have gone through the CDL training over the summer to get their CDL license to be able to be a bus driver. So they're working diligently. From what I see, the proof is that getting kids to school on time and having enough bus drivers and bus runs, we're working through that and trying to be as efficient and effective in our runs that we possibly can.
So can we get some information about what they're paying as opposed to what other area, like why? I'm just trying to figure out how we can solve this issue because
Right.
this is year 2. It's ongoing.
And Patty, if you can hear, I would ask for her. We pay them a contract for
Right.
utilizing their services. How they decide to allocate their funds to support their service, I believe, would be their decision to do. That's not something we would necessarily control. We could make recommendations, or I think everybody's aware of the transportation issues, not just in Boyertown, but in the Commonwealth. So I don't know if Patty has anything to add to that.
When does our...
I would just like to add that it's not insular to just the Boyertown Area School District of Pennsylvania. Recently, the Federal Transportation Director was going across the state and supplying funding to community colleges to increase funding for their CDL programs to get more people involved, so we could have, additional CDL drivers, which would, then ultimately, hopefully, be bus drivers. So this is a challenge across the nation that the federal government is addressing, and I believe Quigley themselves is addressing. It's not a problem that can be easily fixed, and I think it's going to take a lot of patience till we can get, more drivers in the realm, get more people licensed as CDL drivers. That's going to take some time, and I think we just need some patience within that. As far as what the rates that Quigley may pay to their bus drivers, that's not something the district has control over.
I believe their contract does end in 2024. I know it was a 5-year contract, and I know that it was one of the 2 years that Dr. Bedden was with us that it was negotiated.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the pandemic struck when a lot of the different great things were put into place, like utilizing TransFinder, the GPS, the there comes the bus, and there were a lot of things that were a part of that contract that were embedded, but.
Another of my concerns about busing is a safety issue, and I've had parents sending me pictures of their high school children on the buses, 3 to a seat across, meaning 6 children or students. They're big kids, you know, size of adults. They're in the aisles. The aisles are not clear. I believe that that's also like a safety hazard and a safety issue, because if the bus does crash, those seats are what provide the protection. And these kids are literally hanging like leg to leg in the aisle, which is very concerning to me.
We can certainly invite Quigley Bus to our next meeting. I know that, before 2020, that Mr. Quigley was, in the audience quite often.
Yeah.
So, we certainly can invite them out to try to give explanation too.
Yeah, I would appreciate
especially about loading buses. I know that they're 72 passenger buses. Doesn't mean that it
Right. Yeah.
automatically fits the size of that student.
3 elementary kids takes up a different space than 3 high school kids.
And with respects to your own child getting home later, everything is a trickle down. And I know that it was a bit of an improvement today that the drivers were getting there sooner, getting kids picked up, loaded. The high school was making sure that they were getting every student on a bus today and yesterday. And so we're working out those glitches. But
Yeah.
I know that it's getting.
Yeah, I recognize that, it's 2 days of
understand.
school and there are definite things that need to be ironed out. But
Yes.
when we're talking about packing buses full of children, whereas if there was a crash, they wouldn't be safe, I would assume that would present some kind of liability to us. I don't know, but
I don't believe so.
well, I don't want children to get hurt, no matter who's liable for it. Yeah. So, and then I just wanted to say congratulations to the graduates that were presented tonight from the class of 2022. It's really great to see kids stick with it and make it to the end, even if their end is a little different than other kids' dates. I also just wanted to talk about the importance of advocating. So there was a big push to get the governor's budget passed this year. Lots of different organizations, school board members, lots of different people came together to get that budget passed. And that's a really important thing. And we see that when we are looking at, these grants that we're now able to access for security and for mental health, and just the larger amount of education funding this year. So that's really great. And I wanted to thank everyone who was a part of that process. And then I just wanted to say welcome back to the staff and our students. We do appreciate everything staff does. I know as a parent I do. My daughter said that her teacher said, today's your mom's favorite day, the first day of school. She said, it's not your favorite day, is it, Mom? And I was like, no. But anyway, so thank you to everyone. And I hope everyone has a great year. Thanks.
Mr. Up the Road. Okay, no comment?
At the last meeting, we really missed it. We should have welcomed back all the teachers and the students, and we didn't do that, and I apologize for that. There was too many other things that some board members felt was more important than opening our schools, I guess, but I want to welcome them back now. And as far as the busing, just a question, isn't there some type of rule, law, I don't know what you call it, that the state has for transportation, how many children can sit in a seat?
I wouldn't be able to accurately answer that question, Mrs. Deroff. I just know that we have 72 passenger vehicles, and 72 passengers are allowed on there. How they're sitting on the seats, obviously, high school students sit differently on the seats together than elementary, and we need to be mindful of the size of students and what they're carrying with them, and can we safely transport them. So I'm sorry I can't answer that question, but I certainly can ask, or maybe Mr. Sultanic has the bus laws memorized as well as everything else that he awes us with.
All I do know is that the first 2 weeks of school historically has been difficult in whatever school district you're in with respect to transportation. Adjusting the system to new routes, new students, pickups. I have yet to find a perfect district that is addressing those needs.
Thank you.
So we're not alone.
Thank you.
Mr. Zawada.
First of all, I want to thank you for coming to the meeting tonight. We are aware. The problem is the solution. And the solution is this started last year because bus drivers quit because of COVID. They were afraid. It's made it, and then when the kids did go back to school, because they had been under house arrest for 8-9 months, they were definitely making scenes growing in these vehicles, and it affected drivers too. It's not an excuse, okay? I would suggest that, in 2 years, when our contract is up, definitely bid it out, okay? And please let us know. If there's something we can do, we'll try. But
The Fox in charge of the hen house. Come on.
I don't totally disagree. The problem is it was a contract, and that's the way the contract was negotiated. Last year, it was worse having somebody in the school as an executive overlooking, because then things really did fall through the holes. But I'm a firm believer in free enterprise, and like I said, at this point we're done with the contract. I would personally love to see Mr. Quigley or Mrs. Quigley come out here and speak to us, as long as we all act civil. I have been contacted by numerous parents, and I still have a couple of people that still haven't been picked up or deposited back home in 2 days. So maybe it's past tense now, but maybe should have done a couple pre-runs, so we kind of could tell what was happening. But again, it's water over the dam, so all we can do is fix it from now on. And I can tell you right now that our administration will definitely do their best. Real quick, I want to thank Patty for sticking it out tonight. I realize how sick you are and how much we can hear it in your voice. I pray you get healthy, and look forward to seeing you next meeting, sitting out here with us.
Mr. Penrell.
I wanted to congratulate the students who just graduated, especially Bobby Terra, who I had the privilege of coaching over here at the high school for football. Welcome back all the students and staff. And not to beat a dead horse, but I have to bring up Quigley Bus, because besides understanding that they were having issues with missing drivers, and you're also having issues with, I'm told, software, and that attributed to a lot of the issues with them, I guess, missing stops and whatnot. Some of the emails I got are unrelated to that. They're related to unsafe locations.
That's the big issue. I work for PennDOT.
So unsafe locations, one driver is alleged to have been speeding, blowing stop signs, and how do we hold them accountable? Because I know that this isn't in your hands. How do we make sure the punishment's fitting the crime? Let's say that bus driver's removed from that bus. How do I know what happened after that? Is he just put on another bus? Like, how do we know things are happening to make this right?
So that was, or is a bus driver that is a substitute who doesn't know the routes. That bus driver is not on that particular route. The bus driver returned back. As far as, making sure that we can ensure that they're safely transporting the students, we continue to work with Quigley Bus Company. If we ever, as a school district, deem that there's a situation that would warrant the removal, we make it's not even a recommendation, it's a very strong tell that we would not like that individual to drive for us any.
I believe we have some contractual provisions that give us the right to make those removals.
And we have exercised, I know.
And
that
we have
I have exercised.
We have exercised that many years in the past.
Quickly, go ahead.
First of all, the software package, I believe, is a software package that we, the district, wanted, if I'm correct.
From my understanding, when my predecessor was here, who
Yeah.
worked through that, yes.
Yes. So it's not Quigley software, it's the Boyertown School District software technically. And I was a former bus driver, so I do understand all of this. yes, a driver out there, and I believe the software, if I'm correct, can tell the speed of the driver. So that is something that can be checked on.
And the camera is also running the whole
Right.
time so that it
So
can
there
see,
are
yes.
things in place that can be done. And, you know, I don't want to shoot a dead horse because I've driven. And you do go past stops because you don't see the kids out. You know, if there's not a good clearance there. So I've always turned around and went back and got them. I know Quigley's, that's one of Quigley's things. He does turn around and go back and get kids. I'm not defending him. I'm just telling you my experience. My experience. So just to leave that out there.
Mr. Hemingway.
It's a school night, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time, so I have no comment.
No comment from me.
Upcoming meeting.
Mrs. Torsia, let me just fill in two things tonight that came up that I have information on. So the foundation is doing an outreach program to our graduates to try to build capacity and have them be connected. So I learned that through your question from before. And also, I believe, Mr. Zawada, you had asked the question about the ESSER funds and the allocations. It is posted on our website. There's a big ESSER kind of ribbon, and then under there are different allocations for the fundings that have taken place.
I would ask for you to do, Mr. Stout, as the other part of your job description. Could we please capture it and include that in our newsletter for this week for the school board so that it's right there?
It's a lot of pages, Mrs. Torsia, like the grants themselves and the allocations. I think one is like 20-some pages long. So it's not something I think that could be captured in a concise. We can talk
We'll
about
look at it
Yep.
and put something together for you.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stout.
Okay, upcoming meeting dates.
Upcoming meeting dates. So September 13th, Committee of the Whole meeting will be at Gilbertsville Elementary School, 7:00 p.m. Again, I will confirm, but I am most assured that it has been advertised that it will be in the cafeteria area. And then the September 27th Board of School Directors meeting will be back here at the Ed Center at 7:00. And then we have October 11th, Committee of the Whole, which will be at Colebrookdale Elementary School, right next door. That will be in the gym cafetorium. And October 25th is our school directors meeting here at the Ed Center. So.
With that, looking for a motion to adjourn? Second? Okay, meeting adjourned.